Right now, in the pitch-black waters of the Strait of Hormuz, U.S. and Iranian naval forces are locked in a high-stakes military standoff. The crisis reached this boiling point after Donald Trump issued a strict four-point ultimatum to Tehran. He demanded that Iran freeze its uranium enrichment programs for 10 years and physically surrender all of its existing nuclear materials to the United States. Iran rejected the proposal immediately and countered with their own uncompromising terms. They demanded the U.S. end all regional military operations, pay heavy compensation for sanctions, and formally recognize Iran's absolute authority over the Strait of Hormuz. Neither side left any room for negotiation. The complete collapse of these diplomatic backchannels has accelerated a political dispute into an active countdown to a direct military clash. Following the rejected ultimatum, Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei issued a direct mandate to the Iranian military: prepare for an imminent war. Taking the threat of a preemptive American strike seriously, Khamenei has largely vanished from public view. He is reportedly communicating from secure, undisclosed locations, coordinating strictly with his highest-ranking generals. Those generals are already executing his orders, mobilizing massive ground forces and moving heavy artillery into defensive positions across the country. Both nations are now actively placing their high-value military assets into combat formations. They are operating on the assumption that the other side could launch a strike at any moment. The center of gravity for this entire standoff is the Strait of Hormuz, a vital shipping corridor where roughly a fifth of the world's oil supply passes through every day. Looking at the geography here, the shipping lanes are remarkably narrow. In waters this tight, the United States Navy loses the ability to leverage its traditional deep water combat advantages. Iran exploits this bottleneck through asymmetric warfare. They deploy highly coordinated swarms of agile, heavily armed speedboats, specifically designed to overwhelm and disable large targets. This presents a massive risk for the United States, whose primary method of projecting power in the region relies on massive, slow-moving aircraft carriers. Even with a massive advantage in sheer firepower, the physical realities of the strait perfectly complement Iran's defensive doctrine, effectively trapping American naval forces in a tactical stalemate. But America faces another, less visible vulnerability. Decades of continuous military engagement in the Middle East have severely drained the U.S. stockpile of advanced munitions. This chart reveals a critical logistical flaw. As U.S. weapon reserves drop, rare earth minerals required to manufacture new guidance systems and missiles are almost entirely controlled by China. To replenish its arsenal for a potential war with Iran, Washington is forced to negotiate economic and diplomatic agreements with Beijing, the very power they consider a primary geopolitical rival. This supply chain reality puts massive pressure on the U.S. administration, urgently looking for a diplomatic off-ramp ahead of upcoming domestic elections. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is pushing in the exact opposite direction. Facing severe legal challenges at home, Netanyahu actively lobbies to prolong and escalate the conflict to secure his own political survival. The United States military finds its hands tied on multiple fronts. They are bogged down by hostile geography, bottlenecked by a compromised supply chain, and pressured by allies prioritizing their own political lifelines. Tehran is fully aware of these American vulnerabilities and has made their strategy clear. If struck, they will immediately expand the combat zone, treating any nation that assists the U.S. as a direct military target. That threat directly involves the UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, and Saudi Arabia, all of which host strategic United States military bases. Every one of these installations sits comfortably within the range of Iran's extensive medium-range ballistic missile arsenal. Because American military infrastructure is so deeply embedded across the Arabian Peninsula, a single strike by either side ensures an immediate, multi-front war across the entire region. You don't have to wait for the missiles to fly to see the damage. The mere anticipation of a conflict disrupting global oil supplies is already fracturing international markets. In India, the threat of a closed Strait of Hormuz has triggered sudden, aggressive spikes in domestic fuel prices, leading to immediate policy panic. The situation grew so severe that the Indian Prime Minister urged citizens to adopt extreme economic defense measures, including mandates to work from home to conserve fuel and appeals to halt gold purchases. A single rejected diplomatic proposal in Washington has sent an economic shockwave outward, directly impacting the daily lives and finances of billions of civilians halfway across the globe. The global economy is effectively held hostage by a geopolitical deadlock. Neither side can afford to back down, yet neither holds the uncompromised strength required